HQ, presented by AMC Plus. The big talker from last night's college football playoff rankings came there at 6 and 7. The committee putting Michigan ahead of Michigan State, despite the fact that Michigan State won head-to-head. Now, the Spartans dropped from 3rd to 7th because they lost to previously unranked Purdue. It's a controversy because it seems to be a contradiction when you look at Ohio State and Oregon. Oregon has a bad loss, and they're still ahead of Ohio State because they won at Ohio State. So what gives? Let's bring in Josh Pate, host of the Late Kick podcast, to kick this thing around. Josh, I can see why the committee put Michigan over Michigan State because Michigan's loss is a bit better. You could probably say Michigan's the more complete team. But then the question becomes, why is Oregon ahead of Ohio State? Because it's the same situation. What's your take?
Well, when I looked at it, that's initially what I thought. And then I looked a little deeper, and obviously you have sort of the juxtaposition of the Oregons over Ohio State, but Michigan's over Michigan State. Look, here's where I come to, Chris. You and I have talked about this for now several weeks. I am a big believer in using various power-based metrics. I'm totally okay with that. I'm totally okay with even you telling me eyeball test as long as it's blatantly obvious. Like, it's blatantly obvious, one-loss Alabama, even though they've got a loss, is a better team than undefeated UTSA. If you want to use your eyeball test there, that's fine. But when we even enter the realm of comparability, which we're clearly in when we're with Michigan and Michigan State, if it's even in the same ballpark of being comparable, if you've got a head-to-head metric, especially that happened 2 weeks ago, you're never going to sell me on this. And I'm a guy, I mean, I've got my own power rating out there every week. I'm a guy that has Michigan 10 spots ahead of Michigan State in a power rating format. But this is not a power rating. This is supposed to be a merit-based poll. And it's a poll of earning a certain spot. And how do you earn something over someone else any more than beating them on a field? I don't care if it were in your backyard or somewhere else. To be honest, I didn't hear anyone say this last night, Chris. It wouldn't surprise me if someone said, we gave Oregon benefit of the doubt because they went on the road and did what they did, whereas Michigan State were at home. I didn't hear anyone say that, but that's about the best I could come up with.
Yeah, bottom line is Michigan State's still probably in the better spot because if they went out, they're going to win the division. They're going to have a chance to play their way into the college football playoff. Michigan is going to need some help because of that head-to-head loss to Michigan State. Let's move on to the #1 team in the land, the Georgia Bulldogs, just kind of coasting right now. You know that fan base as well as anybody. This is not Alabama. I mean, this is a program that hasn't won at all since 1980. That's over a generation ago. It's 41 years ago. What kind of pressure are they feeling heading into their final SEC regular season game at Tennessee?
So this question's good. This is where the difference is between being on the ground in a fan base versus maybe, you know, being in the flyover kind of national media apparatus. I don't think many people are picking up on what you just asked. Immense is the answer. There's immense pressure on Georgia right now, and Kirby Smart in particular, even though it doesn't feel like it, because it feels like they're cruising, there's more pressure on Kirby Smart than any other head coach in college football right now. What happens when you are #1 for a sustained period of time is there's this reservoir of illusion that really starts to build up in your mind, and you get all the accolades, and you're ranked #1 weeks into months ranked #1, and then the playoff committee starts giving you love, and you got all these postseason award lists that your players just litter, and you've got all that, and it, if you don't know any better, can start to convince you that you've done something and you've won something. But you haven't won anything. They don't hand out trophies. I call it No Trophy November for a reason. They don't hand out anything of substance in this month, but you can get fooled into thinking otherwise. Now, that's what it looks like in flyover territory. When you get on the ground in Georgia, as I like to say, from Valdosta to Clayton and everywhere in between, man, they hadn't won a title in over 4 decades. And there's never been a better time where the rest of the landscape is void of a truly elite team, and Georgia's got an elite team, and they've got a loaded roster, and there's not this assassin quarterback out there that they're looking at and saying, we're not going to be able to get past that guy. This is their shot. They know it. This is their opportunity. They know it. And as much as things feel so harmonious right now, I am telling you, Chris Hassel, as sure as you and I sit here today, if they don't win a national title, you have never seen the perception and mood of a fan base towards its head coach shift as violently as it would over a 4-quarter span if the University of Georgia doesn't win a national championship. And I want to take it a step further. If they don't get to the title, let's just say they face Ohio State in the semifinal game, and let's say they were to lose. Think about how quickly this would change. You would have gone from calling Georgia the unequivocal best team in the country for several months to, over the span of 4 quarters, all of a sudden realizing not only did they not get the job done, this team accomplished even less than the 2017 team did in Smart's second year. That team won a playoff game, they won the SEC, and they played for a national title. What I'm saying is they are the favorite, they should be the favorite, and if they win it, Kirby Smart, you might as well go ahead and build the statue of him. But if they don't get it done, even though it seems like there's such a fine line between these 2 points, if they don't get it done, there's a Grand Canyon in the difference of perception. Kirby Smart scenario A versus scenario B. Huge pressure on them right now that I don't think people are picking up on, but they will down the road.
Yeah, really good point. That is pressure, no question about it. Too bad we didn't get a Georgia A&M crossover game this season. That would have been so good. The Aggies looking for another big win this week at Ole Miss Saturday night. Jimbo Fisher putting together another great season in College Station. They had that one-loss team last year, barely missing out on the playoff, and still a potential playoff contender right now.
Yeah, they are. There's this Casey Musgrave song out right now that she has not paid me to endorse, even though she lives in the neighborhood. But there's this lyric in it that I very cleverly wove into the show the other night, Hassel. It says, healing doesn't happen in a straight line. And so at Texas A&M, they're trying to build a program. But the thing about college football that's so deceiving is the progress in building a program doesn't always happen in a straight line either. But fans want it to. As I call it, the preview magazine culture. That's how you want it. You want to believe that you take this step, and then 2 steps, and then 3 steps, and then boom, you're in the playoff. But that's not the way it's happened with Jimbo. They pushed Clemson to the wire in year 1, but they also lost to Mississippi State. They got blown out by Bama a couple times, but then last year they beat Florida at home. And then this year, you know, they start well, but then they lose the quarterback. They lose a couple of games, but then they take down Alabama, and now they've taken down Auburn. And if you were to just put those points on a chart, it would look like spaghetti if you tried to connect them. But if you took the median, you would realize there's progress happening with this program. And that's not even to mention recruiting. We got a signing day show coming up in, what, about a month? We could very well be talking about Texas A&M having the #1 class in America. We have never said that before. Jimbo Fisher or Pryor, we've never said that before. There's a ton of momentum, and they're going to Oxford, Mississippi Saturday. They're playing Ole Miss, like you just said, and I think the line's 2, 2.5, something like that. And listen, I've got my own little model here. It thinks Ole Miss wins the game. I disagree. I was in College Station this past week. I think there is an undefinable synergy and kind of a coalescing of a lot of those elements finally that's starting to happen around A&M. It's intangible in nature, but if you're around it, you can feel it. And it just feels like a program, they need one break to happen for them. Chris, it almost happened the other night. People didn't realize it because they never thought LSU could beat Alabama. If LSU beat Bama, which they had multiple opportunities to do, this team, this A&M team, controls the West. That's how close we were the other night to this massive domino, unforeseen in nature, falling in the West.
And maybe Auburn will pick off Bama in that final game of the season, the Iron Bowl. We shall see. A&M and Ole Miss this Saturday night. Josh Pate with us here. He is going to be in Waco, Texas. The Renaissance Tour going to the big one in the Big 12. Oklahoma facing its toughest test of the season at Baylor. You can hear Josh in the Late Kick podcast Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays at 8 Eastern. It's live on YouTube and Facebook on the 24/7 page.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.